So much. They do look really great. We'll give folks just another couple minutes to get into the room. Shelby, I'm also going to make you a co-host. And I'm going to turn on our record here in just a second. All right, we are good and recording. All right, everyone, it is 1:02. We're going to begin this event. My name is Brynn Plummer, and I'm the Vice President of Inclusion and Community Relations of the Nashville Entrepreneur Center. I'm glad you're here. And before we get going, I want to hand it off to our CEO, Jane Allen. And this is a very woman-powered event, so it feels very fitting that Jane is going to kick us off. Jane, if you could just start us with a couple remarks to kind of welcome our panelists and also our attendees who are on the line.
I am so excited. All three of the panelists I've had the privilege to get to know, and these are amazing human beings. And then you add on the fact they're fabulous entrepreneurs, and then you add the fact that they're women. It's just, this is exciting, and I am so appreciative of them during a very busy season, giving us their time by sharing their stories. I also am thrilled to be able to host our entrepreneurs in our small business community. This is through the and we've had almost 500 entrepreneurs and small businesses sign up to be able to connect to different resources. And part of the resources, in addition to office hours and the studio, but it's being able to listen and learn from people who are walking the path. And so we are thrilled to be able to host this today. We are thrilled to be able to work with each and every one of you. And at the same time, I just want to say thank you. And now I want to turn it back to look forward to listening and learning myself. So thanks again.
Thank you, Jane. Yes, it feels, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention for the first 30 people who signed up for this event who are members of our program Renew, which is a program that's sponsored by the Metropolitan Davidson County government to get entrepreneur support to resources and advisors and mentoring. For the first 30 people in that program who signed up for this event, they were entitled to a gift box that's been provided by our amazing panelists. So we've got the Nuts About Fall assortment from the Cupcake Collection, which smelled amazing driving over with it. You could smell it through the plastic. We've got a set of mini gold hoops from Judith Bright, beautifully packaged over in their production studio. Mini gold hoops. And then we have this gorgeous charcuterie box from Anzi Blue that's here. And you can't feel how heavy this box is, obviously, but I'm telling you, this is a stacked box. Thank you so much, Marcie, for giving us that. So for those folks in Renew, you can come pick your box up anytime this afternoon and take it home with you. So anywho, let's begin with that. We have three panelists here with us today. Judith Bright of Judith Bright, which is just gorgeous handmade jewelry that is fine quality and also really lovingly and rendered minimalist, gorgeous, and just timeless jewelry. Thank you so much for being here, Judith. We've got Mignon Francois of the Cupcake Collection, which I feel like it's a Nashville staple at this point, Cupcake Collection, home of the sweet potato cupcake. And then we've got Marcie Allen Vandermol, who is with us from Anzi Blue, which is newer on the scene, I think, for a lot of you, but really paving the way as a CBD-infused cafe. And also has built out that Belcourt area over there in Hillsborough Village, which has really seen a tremendous birth of small businesses, has been part of the small business corridor for a long time. But thank you all for being here. We're happy you're here. With that, I think we're going to be able to begin. I will say I'm going to be watching the chat as we go. So if you have questions, there will be time for Q&A for everyone who's here on the call. So please just put your questions in the chat. It does help me if you start your comment with question in caps so that I can see it really easily. All right, let's begin. I want to start, this is a roundtable too, so there'll be crosstalk for them to talk to each other and ask questions, of course. I want to begin by asking about your life prior to your business venture. So this can be prior to the venture that you're currently running, or this can be prior to any other ventures, because most of you are serial entrepreneurs, any other ventures you may have had. What was your life like before you began this? And then what gave you that final push and urge to step out and begin your entrepreneurial journey? So we'll begin with Judith, and then we'll go to Marcie, and Mignon alphabetically. All right, Judith, it looks like you might be on mute. There we go, perfect.
Yeah, I'm Judith Bright from Judith Bright Jewelry. I started my business here 16 years ago from my house. Before that, I had two really distinct careers until I finally scratched the itch. And my good friend Dot is here from my old LA days. And it's because of a quote she sent me that I really had the courage to start my business. So I'll share that with you in a second. But I went to Vanderbilt, so I've been in Nashville before, and I went to nursing school when they had undergraduate nursing. And so I got my first job in Los Angeles, moved out there, and was a registered nurse for about 3 years. And I quickly burned out on it. It was, I was taking care of AIDS patients at the end. And it reminds me of COVID, actually, all that gear that we had to wear and we didn't know how you could get it. But anyway, I was 22 and it was really rough. So I pivoted to the entertainment industry, which is totally different, and ended up being the president of Quincy Jones Music Publishing for 12 years, which was a wonderful, wonderful job. Got to really understand how he operated as a boss and as an entrepreneur himself. And then all along, I was kind of making jewelry in my basement. And Dot one day said to me, this quote just meant a lot to me, and it's, be mindful of the things that nag, for these are the things of destiny. And this jewelry, it just nagged at me. It was my passion, but I didn't really know how to do it. So it was at that point where I set off on the course to do it. And so moving to Nashville was the start of all that, because in Los Angeles, I joke that you throw a rock, you hit a jewelry designer. And here at the time, 2004, there really weren't many jewelry businesses. So I came in at a good time, and Nashville is incredibly entrepreneurial. So that's up to date.
I had no idea about your involvement with the Quincy Jones Music Publishing Group.
Yeah.
That's significant. I mean, the catalog that you're managing there was really, really broad. Wow.
Yeah, changer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you decided to come to Nashville. I'm glad you decided to relocate here. Marcie, what about you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Jane and Brynn, for hosting me today. This is very exciting. I think this is my first interview really being in the hospitality industry, because I've been in the music industry for over 25 years. So I apologize of the hustle and bustle, but we had a photo shoot here this morning. So I'm in our private dining room and you hear all the patrons out there. So I'm a Nashville native. I grew up right down the street in Green Hills and went to Harpeth Hall, and have always had a passion for putting on events and being a marketer. And I previously owned Dancing in the District for any of the native Nashvillians that used to head down to Riverfront Park on Thursday nights, and have always built concerts and special events. And as everyone is aware, or maybe not aware, the music industry is completely on pause right now. And so I have split my time between Nashville and New York for the past 10 years. I'm an adjunct professor at NYU. I teach a female entrepreneurs class at NYU, Clive Davis, as well as a strategic branding course at NYU Steinhardt, and have done that for the past 8 years. And was really kind of taken off guard. I mean, people were talking about the pandemic in January in New York, and I think the music industry thought they were invincible, and we were not. One of my biggest clients, Citibank, we secured the partnership with them, with Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden. And when he plays there every month, and when Billy Joel canceled his show at Madison Square Garden indefinitely, I knew that something was up. So we ended up subleasing our apartment in the West Village, coming back here, and we had just opened up Ainsley Blue in Belmead a couple months prior, and it was really just a coffee shop doing a couple $1,000s a month. And I got home and I was like, okay, cool. So I'll just be off for a month. And I lasted 2 days. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to just sit around doing nothing. So I started going to the coffee shop every day, and I went every day for 6 months, and we ended up increasing our sales about 900%, and just moved into our new location in Hillsborough Village with 4,000 square feet, a real kitchen, no more cooking on a George Foreman grill, don't worry. We added a full dinner menu, full bar. We have a stage because obviously I totally have the music industry itch, and are just trying to create a little bit of normalcy for people in Nashville as we kind of all wade through these crazy times. And obviously we'll get into about pivoting later, but this is new for me. I mean, I don't actually cook. My husband does. So the fact that I own a coffee shop is comical. But I'm all about connecting with people and building a brand and really trying to distinguish ourselves as a CBD cafe when there aren't a lot in Nashville right now. So thank you again for having me today. And I'm intimidated by being here with such fabulous female entrepreneurs, such as Judith and Mignon. We did a pop-up with Cupcake Collection this summer at Ainsley Blue. And so I am such a huge fan, and it's just an honor to be here today. And I love seeing all these female faces. It gives me goosebumps. So I'm looking forward to this chat.
We're so glad you're here. I mean, talk about COVID. We're going to talk a lot, as you mentioned, about pivots, but the fact that you all opened and grew through COVID is really compelling. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people who are curious about how that came to be. But as someone also who does not do the cooking in my own household and leaves it to my male spouse, I'm very appreciative that you are representing us well. And then finally, Mignon, I think you are truly a Nashville face, a Nashville icon. And so many people might have heard this story, but I think that there's a lot of you that you're still, one of the things I appreciate about you is that you're someone who is constantly on this journey of self-discovery. So I'm curious, as you think about yourself and what made you get into entrepreneurship, if you, in this year of great strain and strife and just real crisis, if you've seen parts of yourself from back then come to bear, and what about your life from back then really prepared you for this moment of change?
As I sit here and listen to everybody, when I was a little girl, I knew I was going to be famous. I didn't know what for. And I remember saying that to my mother, and she is, and will always be my biggest cheerleader. And she was like, well, go ahead and be famous, baby. And whatever that would evolve to be, she was always there to support that. And I think that gave me confidence to believe that I could do anything. The guiding principle in my life is speak what you seek till you see what you've said. And the Cupcake Collection is a representation of that. I just wanted field trip money. I'm a mother of 6+1. And so raising a family that large, being a stay-at-home mom, struggling to make ends meet, I just wanted field trip money. My daughter was a senior. I wanted her to have her senior dues. I wanted her to have a class ring. These were things everybody else had, but she didn't have access to because our water wasn't sure. Our electricity wasn't stable. So there were days that I would walk to the Kroger on Monroe and 8th to fill the bathtub so that my children could take a bath. The baby would go first because he's the cleanest. And that was my story living in Germantown in 2005. No one knew what our struggle was because we didn't go around complaining about it and saying, oh, poor us. We believed that if we worked hard at it, that we could accomplish something. I heard some rap lyrics. Kanye West and Jay-Z have a collaboration that's considered to be arguably one of the best rap collaborations of all time. And it's called Otis. And the lyrics are painted on the wall in graffiti in my office. My son Jacques, who's an artist, made that for me just to always remember that they ain't see me because I pulled up in my other Benz. Last week, I was in my other Benz. You know it. And the thing about that is when I heard the lyrics, I was like, God, seriously? He has options and they're luxurious and I don't have anything. And I heard God say to me, are you willing to do what he does to get what he has? And that let me know that work was required of me. So I had to work really hard. I think a lot of times people want to experience these great and amazing things, but we want to be mediocre at it, and expect that something great would happen. But great and amazing comes from great and amazing input and great and amazing effort. And when someone shows up on the scene, you think that they just got there overnight, but overnight success takes 10 years to make it. And so here we are, 12 years later. I worked 2 years, not 2 months, not 2 weeks, not 2 days, 2 years, every day, like it was a job, before this store ever even opened, with no money, no experience, no knowledge of the business, losing the very house that the Cupcake Collection is housed in. It was set for foreclosure sale at the courthouse steps, downtown Nashville, for December, when I opened the store on November the 9th. And we have been voted now as the best cake in Tennessee. We rank as the 8th best place to buy cake in the country. And all of that from a girl who didn't know how to bake, not even out of a box, which is the quintessential example of you speak what you seek till you see what you said.
I don't really think there's much that we can add. There's not much that can be added to that. I mean, it's like $1 out of 15 cents sort of story, and $1 out of 15 cents year, in a neighborhood that has really gone through it. And I know too that you all survived and weathered the tornado as well, even though there was a lot of destruction all around you. So
yeah,
thrilled
I
to
love
see
that
you
you said
thriving.
trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, because people often say, Mignon, what are you doing? I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. It's something that I say all the time.
Well, that's the life of an entrepreneur. I feel like is $1 out of 15 cents hustling, hustling in your DNA. So kind of getting into this year, we're going to think about where you all were, and thank you all so much for sharing yourselves and sharing your histories so humbly and openly. We're going to think a little bit about this year. So 2020, not just a year that was challenging because of the pandemic. It was challenging because of the tornado. It was particularly challenging in retail. I know that Nashville had one of the largest percentages of shrinkage in terms of consumer spending in the US, but also had really high across the US, one of the highest maintained spending of local spending. So we rely a lot on tourist money, but people who live here in Nashville, we spend with Nashville, which is exciting and something that makes us really proud to call Nashville home. With that, I'm curious about how you did make that pivot. How did you look at yourself? I mean, obviously on March 13th and everything shut down, I'm sure many of us didn't think this was going to take this long. When in this course of these past 9 months did you really stop and say, okay, I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to make some changes. If you did have that realization, and how did you set about making that change? Anyone can start on that one. Maybe we'll go reverse.
Oh, I'm gonna jump in. I had obviously, my business, Ainsey Blue, had only been open for 2 months when all the craziness happened. And a lot of people forget that restaurants, and obviously we're a coffee shop, were closed from the 3rd week of March until the 2nd week of May. And so my husband and I remember like it was yesterday, right after it happened, we had a bottle of wine each. And we were sitting on our back porch and we were like, WTF, what are we gonna do? So we kind of looked at each other, and I will tell you that we're obviously both serial entrepreneurs. He owns Van Mall Restoration and renovates houses and kitchens and bathrooms. And, again, I've owned a music experiential agency for 16 years in New York called Mac Presents, working with everybody from the Rolling Stones to Chance the Rapper to Eminem. And we just looked at each other and said, okay, well, you know what? Here's the deal. This is it. We may be going down, but we're not going down without a fight. And so when I tell you, I literally got on the internet and started looking at all my favorite cities and looking in Europe at what different coffee shops and restaurants were doing and how they were adapting. And I remember I was looking at a coffee shop in Australia and they had been shut down. I don't know if y'all remember, but Australia closed before the US did. And the coffee shop said, get everything that you need from here curbside. And like at that minute, I said, okay, we have to stop overthinking this. We have to think of ourselves as clients and as customers. What do we need? And we need things for kids. That's why we added cheese boards. We needed meals that the whole family could share. We added pizzas. When Governor Bill Lee added drinks to go, we started serving cocktails in mason jars that we were buying on Amazon. I mean, anything that I could do to provide, and let me just say this, anything I could do to make families' lives easier and affordable. You know, we all love a good meal, but when you're feeding a family of 4 or 6, you need to be able to get out for under $100, under $75. And we wanted to be that solution. And so that's what we did. We were constantly adding. I got my liquor and my wine license in less than 10 days, which is unheard of in Nashville. I got my beer license in 2 months because that's typical. But the ability to just constantly pivot and add things. We added breakfast, we added cocktails, we added I spent $10,000, which we didn't even have, to add all this outdoor seating and heaters and try to create this little, oasis for people who did feel comfortable, once we were allowed to do outdoor dining. But it was just an everyday thing. And as crazy as it sounds, and I'm still married, my husband and I did not kill each other. And we've been together 10 years, but we just took it day by day. And I think too, that when we knew deep down, if the worst thing that was gonna happen is that we were gonna lose everything, we realized we would still have each other. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's like, I gotta tell you, there's been a lot of emotions as an entrepreneur and as a woman, as a caretaker. I mean, that's my nature at heart. And I can't tell you how many times I was like, we're not gonna make it. There's no way. And it was the local community. And Brynn, what you said was spot on. And even though retail sales have been down, if there is one thing that I am so proud to be a Nashville native, it is how the community has supported local businesses and shopping small and shopping local and supporting. And I've had people call and say, listen, I'm not leaving my house because I'm scared of COVID, but I want to buy a gift card because I want to support you, and that's what it's about. I mean, or, hey, I haven't even been to your store, but I'm liking all of your social media posts. I'm going to put a review on Google and Yelp. That's what a lot of people don't understand, is that you can support local even by not going in and financially supporting them if you can't, but just spreading the word. And Nashville has really come out unlike anything I've ever seen. So it's been really fascinating and inspiring to see.
I love that idea of what do families need, what do people need, because I do think that will solve a lot of the problems. It's just really dialing into my target customer and their problems. I love that. And Mignon, I think you were going to jump in there at the beginning too. I'm curious if you have thoughts about that. I did also get my cupcakes curbside this morning and the little doorbell outside. So I know y'all are doing it too.
Yeah, I think that because the tornado happened to us, we went through 2 storms. We went through the tornado and then we went through COVID right behind that. So we were already poised for this. We didn't know that it was going to be a blessing that we were shut down those 10 days prior to COVID. We were anxious to hop back in when I was looking for a place, 5 places to have pop-up shops in the city that would support us coming back, because we're a debt-free company, so we depend on that cash flow. And so I put it out on social media, and the wonderful people who ride along with me just reached out to people they know. It was a manager who was working at a food site in North Nashville who had seen some of the things that we had done during the tornado cleanup to say back to his company, can we help the cupcake collection? Their vice president reached out and said, Mignon, what do you need? Pop-up shops, you can be in all of my stores, and you can do it for more than one day at a time. You can do it every day until you say uncle. So we're still doing that right now. We became part of the menu at Taziki's as a result, and they put us in all 9 locations. And so here we are 9 months later, and we still are serving in the most popular locations. So you can now find Cupcake Collection in Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, Cool Springs, and Brentwood, all because the red tape goes away whenever there is a pandemic. And that's what I love about it. I love that Nashville supports its own. And this is why I believe that we are the it city. We allow ourselves to just embrace whatever it can make of it. And I heard someone say one time that Nashville is not a place, it's a time. Never again will these people be together creating what they are creating right now. And so we have this opportunity to make it evolve into something, which, I always say that I was New Orleans raised, but I was Nashville made. You will never take the New Orleans out of me, and I don't have any desire for it to go anywhere. And if I get around my New Orleans heritage, my accent is going to get really, really strong. However, I believe that I could only have opened this bakery in this city where I could find out that I could make it, and then I could take it from here back to anywhere. And so we opened up a location in New Orleans because we believed if we could make it there, we could make it anywhere in food. And so, but it was the support of the local people here that gave us that confidence, that was willing to say, hey, you've never baked anything before? You say that you want to open a bakery? Okay, let's support that. And that's what I love about the community of Nashville. And so I hope that I, answered that. I didn't want to take too much,
No, I think it's apt, and this year has felt like it's knitted us closer together in some ways, even though we're all in our various houses. But I think more than most years, the veneer has dropped. People, just this morning I was walking past someone and I was like, how are you doing? And they were like, oh girl, getting by. And so I think in some ways it's brought us closer together as a community in much the same way that the flood may have in 2010. And in the same way that the storm did in March of this year.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the things that have happened to us have happened for us. And if we would change our mind on the perspective and be willing to find out, what is this trying to teach me? That's been the angle that we tried to learn it from. I believe that I got my master's degree from the School of Hard Knocks, right there in the 4 walls of the Entrepreneur Center is where that began. And I just really believe that everything that has happened to me, every stupid thing I've had to experience, everything I've had to do again, was preparing me to take me from where I was to where it is that I wanted to be. And once you break that ceiling and once you find success, you can look back and say, it was really not that hard. Because as you're doing things, whatever's hard, you just do it hard. It's like a muscle. When you start building that muscle, all of a sudden, you might not be able to lift 50 pounds. At first, you might not be able to bench press 50 pounds, but then you realize, 6 months down the line, now I can bench press 50 pounds in my sleep, because really I'm bench pressing 350 now. You know what I mean? And that's what I think all of this has taught us.
It's it's stamina increasing. I think even our responses, like our fight or flight or freeze response, I feel like is less now than it was. Like the news alert on my phone dings, and I don't have the same response that I had 6 months ago, because crisis, I think when you weather a crisis, it sort of makes you more invulnerable to the next crisis in some ways. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. Judith, what about you?
I'm just kind of getting back to March. I think it was March 6th, and just thinking back, at how scary it was, especially in a retail business like ours. You know, we had 2 locations. We had one in Nashville, we still have it, on 12 South. And then we had a store in Atlanta that we'd had for 8 years. And we had 20 employees. And I kind of sat on it for a minute to really think about it and really look at the numbers and do the projections. And when we made the decision, we really had to cut half of our staff, which was just excruciating. But there was no way we could survive because we live on our sales. And our stores were closed for 4 months, and we closed them right away because I felt that was the safest thing to do. And then opened, I don't know, I guess a month after we could have legally in Davidson County. And then during that time, we actually made the decision to close our Atlanta store because we had made a deal at the factory in Franklin to open up there in June. It was like great timing. What was just, it was kind of like the worst of times and the best of times in a lot of ways. And, you know, the girls from Atlanta came up, they packed up that whole store, came to Franklin and unpacked it all there and oversaw, you know, us getting open, and then went on to do other great things. But that was really tough, saying goodbye to those gals who'd been around for a really long time, who I just we all loved. But the decision was very easy to make, you know, keeping it all in Tennessee where we could run inventory around, and, you know, having to let something go in a city. We weren't sure what was going to happen in Atlanta. We weren't sure what was going to happen anywhere. Right. But all throughout this time, you know, I mean, people would leave wine in the back of our store, you know, just hope y'all are doing okay. And, you know, what Mignon is saying is absolutely true. This town it's incredible. It's got a secret sauce that's really hard to put your finger on, you know. I don't know, everyone's your cheerleader, really, if you're trying and you're working hard. And I think that should be just a common theme in life, you know, us cheerleaders of one another, no matter what, and help those that are struggling. And I was just going to share some numbers with you guys. So
please, yes.
See where I'm at. So this is just today. I looked in my Shopify. Our sales are down 24%, which is the highest it's been down. So we've been down 50, then 45, then 40, then 30 before we went into Black Friday. And now we're creeping back up to being only down 24%. And I mean, we are really excited about that because the stores were closed a third of the year. So it makes sense that we'd be down that much because in-store sales were everything for us, really. So right now to date, we're down 50% in store sales. That's a lot, but we're up 53% in the web. So a lot of the initiatives that we took to keep sales coming were web focused. Luckily, we had already had that infrastructure and a pretty good website, but we enacted texting, which has been amazing way to reach people. We couldn't believe it, but now everybody's inbox and email is so full. The only way, it's like this is the next layer to get to people is texting. You know,
how did you begin the texting, Judith? What platforms do you use?
It's an app called Attentive, and it's extraordinary. The tech behind those guys, I think they just had seed funding of $230 million, something like that. So I suggest everybody jump in there because it's been amazing to see people signing on. We are offering a coupon, and you too could text JB to 33128 to get 15% off. So what we did really to pivot after we, kind of reined in our expenses, and we did get the PPP loan, which was very, very helpful, thank God, or I would not be here talking to y'all today. So we decided to double down on our marketing and jump into Facebook ads. And that was really, really scary. But we are working with a local team called Drive Social Media. They're amazing. and they are very, very data driven. And I just was like, all right, now's the time to just really take a leap of faith. We'd never really done that before, and it has paid off a lot doing that, because we knew we really had to reach internet customers, because people need jewelry. You know, they need presents to give, and people were giving presents, and the notes they were sending to each other were like all across the country, hang in there, it's going to be all right. I mean, we were just like in tears, you know, reading some of these notes, you know, and like, I'm sorry, grandmother, I can't see you, you know, here's a pair of earrings, or, you know, I mean, it was really cool to look at the whole thing through the notes that people were writing on their gifts. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, the other thing is just, you know, I've had a lot of setbacks along the way, and we all have. And I always say that's the greatest time to learn, is when you have a big setback. And I knew I've had enough of those to know that I had to keep the faith that it was going to be all right, and that there was going to be something that came out of it. And I think we've set ourselves up now with our initiatives, marketing, online, the different ways we're chatting with our customers, you know, the little curbside pickup, that I think it's going to actually, in 2022, I think we'll have our best year yet. So I'm not sure about 2021. So.
We'll see. I mean, the vaccine's out, the vaccine's coming. Actually, someone did have a question. Trinity was curious if you started to see foot traffic start to pick back up in store.
Yeah, it has picked up, but those numbers I gave you were as of today down 50%. So it has picked up. It's there's more foot traffic, it seems, right now in the factory. It's just a bigger space with lots of stores, and it's undercover. But I mean, people are still coming in, but I mean, no way like they have in the past, which is a drag. But they are ordering online and calling us for orders now. It's go time right now.
It's go time. It really is. I mean, we're 9 days from Christmas for folks who celebrate, and right in the middle of Hanukkah. So yeah, there's a lot happening. It's so funny you say that, because I have bought more jewelry during quarantine than just about anything else. I haven't had to buy clothes, because Lord knows it's yoga pants and a professional top. But I need earrings to look poised. I feel like I put earrings on and I look dressed for a Zoom. This morning as I was leaving the house, I was like, I really need some presents. And of course I pop on just a little bit of lipstick, but more than that, I'm like, I gotta make sure my earrings pop in front of these banners. But it is a good time to get and receive jewelry in a way that I had not thought about at all. But that's probably what I spent the most money on in quarantine, aside from my grocery bill, which is through the roof. Okay. Perfect. And then I had another question too that was more around sales. Trinity is just killing it with the questions today. Marcie, what was the biggest factor that helped you increase sales by 900%? What did you focus on what do you think is probably the biggest driver of that increase in sales?
It was really listening to our clients. And so when they started saying, you know, I need something for my kids to munch on all weekend, we did a build your own pizza kit. You know, we added fruit platters, we added cheese and charcuterie boards. But, you know, for a long time, people kind of assumed that cheese and charcuterie boards were $250 in order to purchase something. So we made sure to develop a board that is $30 that was for 2 people, or $60 for 4 people. And I think that's what really set us apart. And that really just came out of us messing around, thinking about, because all of my friends who have kids were saying, I just cannot order I can't seem to find healthy food right now that I don't have to cook. And so that's where we created these, you know, crudité platters and bagel boards, and just as many amazing things that we could get our hands on. And, you know, unlike a lot of restaurants who get their food delivered weekly and they stock up for the week, we were ordering food daily. And we wanted to make sure we had the freshest fruit, the freshest vegetables. And it was really just the only way we did it was if someone came in and said, hey, we really want you to do milkshakes, we added that. Someone came in and said, we really would love for you to do smoothies, we added that. Someone came in and was like, we want bourbon flights. We're like, great, we'll add that. I mean, we did anything we could to survive. And it really was just a feast or famine. And I would love to sit here and say I have the recipe to this, you know, have fairy dust to tell you how to do a 900% increase in the middle of a pandemic, but it was all, I give every single bit of accolades to our clients. And then they would go out and share what we had added to our menu. And I remember in January, we had 150 followers. And now we're at, almost 8,000. And we have a very, very active, I remember I pulled this up, talking about facts and figures, Judith. I pulled this up the other day, and we have 20,000 unique people that are visiting our Instagram page weekly, and 98% are from Nashville. So obviously that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a bad thing because I want to be shipping nationwide, because we ship all our cheese boards nationwide, but it's a good thing, and it just shows you how the community is supporting us. And we're constantly, like, we added a hot cocoa tin yesterday, and someone texted me this morning because I manage all the social media, and said, I can't believe your hot cocoa tin is only $30. Everywhere else I'm seeing it, it's $100. And they're like, this is unbelievable. And we, included the Goo Goo Clusters chocolate bombs in there. Cause it's just all about being creative, listening to your clients. And again, this word is so overused right now, but pivoting and being able to now have a full kitchen. And Mignon, I know you will appreciate this, but a walk-in fridge and freezer. Again, we did not have that previously when we were in Stanford Square and Belmead. And so we're just love being in a walkable neighborhood like Hillsborough Village, and every single business owner has stopped by and said, I know you and your husband are natives. Welcome to the neighborhood. Let us know if you need help with anything. We're directly across from the Belcourt Theater that is open at 17% capacity. We're obviously open at 50% capacity. We have our outdoor dining as well, and we're getting ready to add heaters. We just added an awning. So just like Judith said, it's about doubling down on marketing, and that's what we've really done. We have billboards up all around the city. Ainsley Blues now in Hillsborough Village. I mean, it's really, I don't know. I guess if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down swinging, and I don't think we're going to go down. And I think that, when you look at whenever the vaccine's going to reach everybody, whether it's summer of next year, whether it's winter of 22, I don't care. I know that people are still going to want to go out and support local, even when we're back to the normalcy, whatever the new normal is going to look like. And that is, I think, if you have to look at one positive thing that has come out of the pandemic, it is just people have become hyper-focused on supporting local and shopping small. And that is unbelievable. And I am so happy that has now happened.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It feels, those numbers are staggering. 20,000 unique visitors who are 98% based in Nashville. That's unbelievable. That's bananas.
And
I mean,
1%, Brynn, is from Franklin. That's just like Nashville.
That's how wow, that's amazing. I would just assume that was an entire MSA, but that's how, laser pointed it is.
But I think it also comes from my music industry background and being a marketer, because if you follow us on Instagram, you will see I'm a storyteller at heart. That's what I do. I love to tell stories. And that's what I started doing. I said, okay, if I'm going to sit here and I'm going to sell a cheese board, I'm going to tell the story how I came up with it. And I think that's what people like, because you have to remember that right now, there's only so much gloom and doom that you can put out. And I tried to make people laugh. I mean, that's what I know, and again, I know what I like to read about, and I like to find anything that's going to make me smile or make me laugh. And so that's what we have really focused on in all of our Instagram marketing. And just yesterday, we were able to figure out, because obviously none of us are social media experts. We don't have an agency. We are the agency, to make all of our posts shoppable. So now you can click on the image, and then it takes you directly to the website, and you can order it and ship it online. So that was like we were all very proud of ourselves around here when that happened.
That is huge. That's a big deal. And you have to go through like each product. That's not easy. Yeah.
It is not easy. It is not easy at all. But you know what? It's like I say to my husband, we have 21 mouths we have to feed every 2 weeks. We have 21 employees, and I knock on wood, we have not laid one person off. Because of the pandemic. There was people that left because they didn't feel comfortable. We interact with a lot of people. On average, we have 140 to 160 transactions a day in store. That's a lot. and there's people that don't feel comfortable because they live with their grandmothers or they have, you know, pre-existing conditions, and we completely respect that. So we had about half our staff middle of the pandemic leave and go on unemployment because of the, you know, because of COVID. And so we put out the word, and the next thing you know, we've been getting about 100 resumes a week. So it really shows you how the restaurants are doing right now. I mean, everyone is struggling, and we really are just trying to keep our heads down and do the very best that we can and to weather the storm.
That's really telling. 100 resumes a week. That's staggering. This is.
I do want to say about that, half of them are from other cities.
Oh, really? Okay. Like people still trying to move here.
You know, remember the stat that we all used to hear, 60 people are moving to Nashville every day when we were at City a year ago. Well, now I think probably 200 people are moving here on a day. I'm making that up, but on a daily basis, just based upon everything from San Francisco to Seattle to Chicago to Los Angeles to Miami to New York to Boston, all these big major metropolitan cities, people are moving to Nashville.
You're so right. I feel like I've had so many people move here, or just, you know, I had a friend stay here for like 4 weeks in the middle of the summer because she was in San Francisco, super locked down. We are really lucky to have a space that is so green, but accessible and walkable. And so I do think we are going to see the rise of more second tier cities. That is not a designation I put on Nashville. That is a federal designation. We'll start to see those things grow because of all the beauty of a place like Nashville. Relatedly, someone asked a question. Paula Anderson asked about e-commerce marketing, and I think all of you have played into that space a ton this year in particular, but of course previously as well. E-commerce marketing and how it might be different from standard marketing. I think Marcie, you talked about that without knowing the question was coming, but beautifully as you were talking about storytelling. Mignon, Judith, do you have any thoughts about how you are specifically marketing, or maybe marketing differently in the e-commerce space? Mignon? I think I saw Judith pointing. Yeah.
I was letting her go first.
I love this deference between the three of you.
We have, one of the greatest things that we've been able to do is sort of market to the new normal. So we see that the way that business is or has been done may never be done before again that way. What I did most was I looked to the Great Depression, and I found, as I studied the Great Depression, the brands that came out best were the ones that supported people, were the ones that said, hey, I'll do that for you. The ones who thought outside of the box. I watched this documentary on Netflix. It was called She Did That. And one of the things that I took from the documentary said that collaboration is the new competition. And I think that's what really helped us. So as we looked at the way that people were asking to be served and made ourselves available to that, just like she was saying just a couple of minutes ago, we created a pickup station on the outside of our lobby. We got with our POS system. You can now place an order within minutes of you driving over here. You can hop on your phone and send an order in, and it can be ready in 20 minutes, things we never, had done before. And we started, we really ramped up our shipping online. So while we've been shipping for 10 years, we have seen a major increase in our sales online. So similarly, we saw a 359% increase in sales. Whereas people are wanting that comfort that they can't get here for. They're hopping online and saying, how can I get what I love, what I would have come to Nashville to visit? How can I get it to myself? One of the perks that we had is that we were selected by the NAACP to win a $25,000 grant this year during their first Black Entrepreneurs Day. And as a result of that, we got mentorship from Damon John and Shaquille O'Neal, courtesy of our friends at The General. And so one of the things that was a perk from that was some work with Facebook and marketing teams that began to do some like online research to say where you click and you were looking for this kind of item and then the cupcake collection pops up. These were things that we never had access to before. So now we're trending highest when you're looking for cupcakes in the cities that we exist in. Whereas before we may have existed 20th on the list because we weren't doing anything in that area, we now rank #1. And so that's just some of the perk of having access to people who know this is what you need to be doing. Because I can't say that we know, ourselves what we should do, kind of just those things that are happening to you are happening for you. Here they go again.
Just pivoting. I know that word is just it might be the word next to unprecedented, probably the most used word of 2020. I'm sure the Merriam-Webster word of the year will be unprecedented or pivot. And Judith, do you have any other thoughts there too? I've noticed also on your website, I feel like you've made the mobile version of your website is so clean. And I don't know if I'm sure it was intentionally designed, but I'm curious how you went into thinking about the mobile experience for your jewelry.
Yeah, we really were thoughtful about that because people are, shopping mobile with us. So we wanted to make it look really good and clean and easy to use because we've got a lot of stuff on that website, a lot of variants. Most of our things are available in 3 different metals and in about, some are available in 40 different gemstones. So
Whoa, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
It's pretty much customizable, within our designs. So there's a lot on there. One of the things that we did is raised our amount of email marketing that we did too. Because really before, I think I only sent out 2 emails a month because I was like, I don't want all that email in my inbox. And now we're sending 2 a week, because we have to, and we have to stay in front and we have to be there because people just barely see their email at all anyway. So we have to try our best to catch them. And in those emails, we're promoting local brands in those emails, local ambassadors who wear our jewelry. That's been a really successful thing. So we're really working on our branding and telling our story. And so we're only 6 months into this marketing. And I believe, it all builds on itself, your credibility with Facebook. And, obviously the algorithms are changing all the time, but I do believe that in a year, we will be in a really good place, getting our message out to beyond the Southeast, because we're now focused in these markets. But the goal is to get outside of these markets. And then one of the things that we've done in the past is, but we really were heavy on it during the shutdown, is anyone who ordered anything from us, we wrote a personal thank you note to them. And that was a lot of notes because we have a lot of $30 items, and people were sending a lot of $30 items. So it was just really important for us to thank anyone who ordered, from us during that time and supported us. And that was great. I really enjoyed that, So
that's such a good idea. That's a genius idea. And I feel like too, it makes so much, it also really ties into your experience bringing the notes that the customers were sending to their gift recipients, but also you all really trying to make that personal, seeing that there is a person behind this jewelry. And, just being in the production studio last night to pick up the jewelry and pick up the gold hoop, the mini gold hoops that we have here in the gift box. It is a real human that is back there. There are real hands making your jewelry. And you have the wall of the jewelry and the fixings and the findings, and then the individual stones and gems that go into each piece. And I think just seeing it in its component parts really struck me like this is a lot that goes into this. There is a lot of crafting and customization in each and every piece that we get. So thank you so much for doing that. As someone who loves Judith Bright jewelry and is probably going to add more to my collection soon. And for anyone who's going to get these gold hoops too. So you're very, very lucky. All right. We are towards the end. We have just about 4 minutes. Oh, one quick question from Gingy. Judith, do you host your shop on Shopify? That was a question. And then Gingy also wanted to share that she loves the Rockstar Nest cuff. Let's see.
Yes, we do. We are on Shopify because right now it's for us the best platform that allows a lot of the kind of apps that we use for email and for marketing and customer sales facing little apps that we have. So it right now that's what we use, and it's very flexible. So I do recommend it if you're selling a product.
That's great. And I feel like they start at a really great price too. I want to say it's like $29 a month for the basic, and just gives you great analytics. So we are towards the end of our time. We just have a few minutes left. We've answered. So thank you so much to everyone who wrote questions in the chat. Fantastic questions, tactical and more esoteric too. Really appreciate these questions. I'd love to hand it off to each of you, and we'll go in reverse order from when we started. We'll go Mignon, Marcie, Judith. Just a moment of wisdom, moment of zen. Anything you're thinking about as you leave 2020 and get ready for 2021. What's kind of on your heart? What's on your mind as a person, as a woman, as a business owner, a CEO? What are you leaving 2020 with and starting 2021 with?
Okay, I'll go first.
Take it away. Yeah.
I read a staggering, really sobering stat the other day about almost 60% of women have had to leave their jobs during the pandemic in order to care for their children and to homeschool. And as a stepmother of an 8th grader and a junior, I am very lucky that they don't need me to stand over them as they do because they do every other day. Zoom school, they travel in cohorts is what they call it at Harpeth Hall. But my friends who have young children have had to do that. And then I saw another stat that made me happy. And the stat was that more than quadruple of the applications that are being put in for LLCs, they have gone up 4 times during the pandemic. And of that, 70% are women. So what's happening is women are now realizing they're not going to be able to go back to the office anytime soon, especially, think about all the friends that you have that have 1, 2, 3, 4 children under the age of 10 or 12. Because usually you're not looking at someone who can homeschool themselves on Zoom unless they're 12 years old. So my piece of advice as a serial entrepreneur, this is my 3rd business, is now is the time. Now is the time to start your own business. Now is the time, especially if you're at home with your children and you're having to help them with school. And I just think that we all have nothing to lose. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You fail? That's okay. Look at the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. They have failed multiple times to get where they are today. And any entrepreneur who tells you that they have not failed along the way, they're not telling you the truth. So thank you again for today, Brynn and Jane.
Marcie, thank you so much. And this is our first time meeting. I really cannot, I feel like we need to have you all the time. You all were so fantastic, but thank you. For the first time interacting, I'm so blown away. Jane told me when she first recommended you for this, she's like, you're going to be head over heels with Marcie's story, and she was not lying at all. So thank you so much. Mignon, what about you? How are you ending 2020 and going into 2021?
For me, what I've learned, I'm a huge reader. I learned that readers are leaders. And so that all leaders are readers. And one of the books, I just finished it today. I'm so excited about it. It's called Called to Create. My friend Jordan Rayner is the author of that one. And one of the things is that we can look at creation, the creation story, as an example for what entrepreneurship can look like. that you create something, you spend 6 days working, you spend days working on it, years working on it, and then you sit back and you look back and say, that's good. Well, one of the things that I think that people forget, and I think that this book really showcased, and I pulled it out and says, what I do, I'll read it verbatim. It says, I'm not great because of what I do. What I do is great because of who I am. And what I want people to know is that a lot of times as moms, we discount ourselves. Just picking up back on what you said just a few minutes ago, several people are moms and they find themselves in a situation. And as moms, we say, what do I have? What do I bring to the table? Everything you have is everything that you already need. When I started the Cupcake Collection, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any experience. I didn't have anything but a will, a passion, a desire. And I started with what I had, and what I had was good enough for where I was that day. So while I would have needed some really great equipment and, I would have needed walk-in freezers and, all of the kind of stuff, I didn't need it for the day that I was on and for the customer base that I had. I opened with a dorm size refrigerator and a KitchenAid mixer because that would keep my product on, temp for a health score. And that KitchenAid mixer was enough to create the volume. And every day I worked with what I had to get to where I wanted. Now I can sit on the inside of one of the mixers at the Cupcake Collection. And, one of our girls would be afraid to walk out into the walk-in freezer, always like, oh, I don't want to get stuck out here. So we have a system to say, I'm going into the freezer, right? Because that's a real thing. But I want people to know that you don't have to have experience. Like I didn't have experience in this. I didn't know how to bake, to be, an award-winning one now, a leader now. I didn't have that experience before, but what did I have? I was a community organizer. As a mother of 7, that was community. I managed the lives of myself and 7 other people. And so those experiences I brought to the table. You can bring those things to the table. But what I'm taking into 2021, I hope that does serve somebody. I hope that somebody gets joy out of what I just said. But what I'm taking into 2021 is the celebration is still on. What I learned from the tornado was that there was a little 8-year-old boy. And when that tornado hit and that big, gigantic magnolia tree that used to shade our house for all those years was so big, it broke the windows out of our neighbor's 2nd-story window across the street. And when that big magnolia was encumbering traffic on 6th Avenue North, you couldn't get up and down 6th Avenue North. He didn't understand that it was a tornado. For him, it was still his birthday. And that we use to inform us that just because a storm hits, just because a pandemic happens, doesn't mean that the celebration has to end. What I love about cake and what cake has taught me and why it's my favorite dessert is that cake is a time for somebody to see you. Whether it is that it was a thing that you wanted to celebrate because you accomplished something great, or whether you've been through a really tough time and you're hurting right now, or you just need to be in control of something in your life and you can pick your favorite flavor, that's what cake does for you. Because it reminds you of that time when you sat down and you had that, conversation with someone. If somebody brings you a cake, they noticed you. I heard my friend Kelly Sutton say it like this. You're a good friend to bring it. You're an even better friend to have received it if it came from the Cupcake Collection. And so I'm taking that into 2021, that we are here for the celebration, that we have got to be available because somebody needs us, because this is the one thing that can bring them joy and that they can be in control of. And so that's what I'm taking into 21. And I want other people on here to know that they are needed. They are essential because it's something that they have, that they were created to do. something you were called into this world to bring equity into our current environment. And I love that quote that you said in the beginning, Judith, be mindful of the things that nag, for these are the things of destiny. And I hope that people see that today and get off of this Zoom call and go and start right now with what they have to get to where they want to be.
Oh, I love that. I feel like I need to go do 5 things that have been nagging at me since March. So thank you for that. And then finally, Judith, you're going to bring us home.
I can't top that.
I didn't want to, this is
No,
a tough one, but I feel like you can do it.
All I want to say is that everybody's going to be okay. You know, that's really what I want to say. And, you know, try to just live each day fully, because you don't know what's going to happen the next day. And, you know, you guys starting out your businesses, just never give up. In fact, when you want to give up the most, that's when you got to double down, because you're going to make it if you keep at it. There's just no way you can fail. Just keep at it. And that's it. And thank you guys for having me. And y'all get in touch if you have any more questions about software or marketing or anything like that. I'm happy to answer those or get together with you guys over the Zoom one-on-one. Thanks, Jane.
I wanted to add that as well. I'm here all the time, as you can see. So if you ever come in and you see me, please let me know. And I would love to share an iced tea, because I don't drink coffee. I know I own a coffee shop, go figure. But I would love to share an iced tea and happy to help any way that I can. And you can always just DM me on Ainsley Blue's Instagram page. It's the best way to reach me. So.
Well,
I would want to add to what they just said. That's what makes the Entrepreneur Center such a beautiful, place, is that not only are these, talented women available, there is an unlimited resource of people who have been where you are, who know where you want to be, and who have answers for you, who just like them are willing to give up their time and their talent and their resource so that you can become what's been nagging you on the inside. And so I'd also encourage you to reach out to the Entrepreneur Center and find out who's available there to bounce ideas off of and help you to create that calling and make it come alive for yourself.
I think that's the perfect way to put a bow on this. I was just going to say, thank you all for joining. Thank you again to Marcie, Mignon, Judith. This is such a powerful way to end the year. And for me, it makes me feel true gratitude to live in a city like Nashville and to have people like you who I look up to as people, as humans, as business owners. It makes me really grateful. And also to have you all part of the support community of the Entrepreneur Center. Thank you to everyone who was on the call. Thank you to Jane for kicking us off, and Jane is the brain that made this come to fruition. So truly thank you to Jane for making sure that this happened before the end of the year. And if you got a gift box, there's an email queued up to those of you who were one of the first 30 to sign up from Renew in your inbox. They are available for pickup right now in the Entrepreneur Center and the Learning Center. So
and
please
you share pictures on social media and tag us all of your gift
yes.
box. We will reshare the photos. So let's continue supporting local.
Please tag everything. You guys are going to be so blown away when you get your box. Thank you to everyone again. Thank you so much. Everyone, please be safe and take care of yourselves into this holiday season. And we can't wait to see you, whether it's in 2020 or 2021. All right, everyone, this recording will be up on the Entrepreneur Center's YouTube page pretty much as soon as it is uploaded to the cloud. So you can see it and share it as much as you like. Thank you all so much. Everyone be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.